So guys, today back for a video on the channel. Today we're here for the Newcastle United versus Spurs preview. It's a massive game. Spurs have still got a slim chance of getting the top 7. Newcastle United have to win for the sake of the fans. The last 2 performances have been embarrassing, and just because we're staying up doesn't mean we've got to switch off. We've got to go out and try and get a big result on Wednesday night. Make sure to leave a like, lads, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, watch the Watford videos, watch all the other videos on the channel, and in today's video we'll talk about Tottenham and talk about Newcastle. So let's start off with the visitors at St James's Park on Wednesday, Tottenham Hotspur. They've had a funny season and it's been more downs and ups, but they've had a couple of decent results, and obviously they got a big one yesterday against Arsenal. But we'll go through the last 6 games out and we'll talk more in detail about Spurs. So they got a 1-1 draw with Manchester United, a big 2-0 win over rivals West Ham, a 3-1 defeat to Sheffield United, a 1-0 win versus Everton, 0-0 versus Bournemouth, and a big 1-2-1 over their biggest rivals Arsenal. So as you can see from their last 6, it hasn't been bad form apart from that Sheffield United game where really VAR done them over because the handball rule, like literally, the ball's been bounced off, the ball's been kicked off Lucas's arm and he got given as a handball. But you've got to feel for them in that situation. It was never a handball, but that's the rule that they've put in place. So with Spurs as well, it's a weird one. Start off with the season with Mauricio Pochettino linked with the Newcastle takeover stuff. I'm going to forget about that for the time being. When you look at Pochettino's time at Spurs, he got them to the Champions League final. He rebuilt their team. They were in this position in the 2013-14 season, around that time where they were struggling and they didn't have that great players. Like I say, Tottenham, yeah, they're a big team, but they don't spend enough money to be where they want to be. They've got to spend more money, in my opinion. Yes, the signing Ndombele hasn't really worked. Players like Bergwijn haven't been absolutely amazing, but they haven't been bad. Harry Kane, obviously, is a goal scorer. For me, Spurs should have 2 decent strikers over 1 amazing striker, because the only striker at Tottenham Hotspur is Harry Kane, and the only, like, if he got injured, they're doomed. They've got to play a right midfielder as a striker in Lucas Moura or a left mid as striker in Heung-min Son. With that competition, they know if someone came in, they wouldn't play because Harry Kane dominates that striking role, and it'll be really hard for that player to come in and really try and fight for his place when he's got one of the world's best strikers in front of him, Harry Kane. It's a big move if Harry Kane did move away from Tottenham Hotspur, and I think he could in the summer coming or the summer after. Obviously, last time out we played Spurs, we got our first Premier League win of the season, a 1-0 win with Joe Linton, and for me, our best performance so far this season. That defensive duty in that game was outstanding. Fabian Schär look like prime moments Maldini, and then you've got Paul Dummett, who literally looked like the best player the world ever seen, never mind the Premier League or Newcastle United. He got man of the match that game. Jolene got his first goal for the club. Overall, a fantastic day in the sun it was. I remember, obviously, I remember it quite well because my Instagram account got taken down. Oh, that was the end of a bad day, but unbelievable result in that. But obviously, Tottenham Hotspur, Jose Mourinho has never won a Premier League game at St James's Park. Is that going to change on Wednesday? With the way we played recently, probably. Let's look at Newcastle United. So Newcastle United haven't been in great form recently when you look at their last recent games. Watford, terrible second half. Man City, thrashed 5-0. Then West Ham. Before that, we were winning games, and now we haven't won in a long time since Bournemouth. Bournemouth was the first, and now it's the third even. It doesn't seem like long, but we've played 4 games since then. But we need just a bit of fight. If we lose against Tottenham, right, because Harry Kane scores a worldie, or Heung-min Son scores a good goal, I'll put my hands up and say, fair play Tottenham, you deserved it. But if we go out like that, second half against Watford, we'll get absolutely thrashed. When you look at Newcastle United as well, some of the players just didn't give a shite. It's so obvious that the players always stayed up, I'll just rest, can't wait for the holiday. They've had 3 months off. They should be dying to play football, right? And we did look like that. But as soon as we clean survival, it goes downhill. And it's done that for a couple of seasons now. And I mentioned it in the Watford game. And I even said we cannot lose against Watford because of that reason. We cannot just say, oh, we survived. We'll just sit back a little bit, take a foot off the gas and just try and play with the flow. No, you fight for every 50-50 challenge. Are players going to do that? Probably not. Probably want to have their summer holiday, relaxing, not an injury. So when you look at Newcastle as well, will changes be made? Obviously, the predicted team out tomorrow. I'll know more from Steve Brewster's press conference. I think changes do have to be made from the performance against Watford. Your players who you miss. We miss Isaac Hayden so much. Playing Fabian Schär in a CDM role, awful. He was awful on Saturday. Players like, does Gale start again, or do you bring in Joe Linton? Maximin should be fine, Amon should be fine. Do you bring in Lazaro over Richie? I think from giving away that penalty, you bring in Lazaro, play Mig in the calm, Maximin on the left. Danny Rose obviously can't play because he's on loan from Tottenham, so that'll probably mean Javi Manquillo in left back in Emil Kraft or Yedlin right back. Probably Kraft because Yedlin looks to be out the door. So lads, that's the end of the preview. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. There's like 60% of you people who watch the Watford videos and we're not subscribed to the channel. We're trying to hit 10k, as you see from the little pop-ups that come up. I want to be trying to hit 10k as soon as possible. We're on about 7.5 now, so if you could subscribe to the channel, it would mean a lot. Anyways, lads, I'll see you all for the predicted team tomorrow. Massive game against Tottenham. Let's hope we can get a Joe Linton winner like we did at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium back in August. See you the next one, lads.